Alongside the release of Huawei's new foldable, the Mate X6, we also got these from Huawei Sound. They're called the FreeBuds Pro 4, some premium in-ear noise cancelling earbuds that have some impressive noise cancellation when it comes to voice calls. They can pretty much remove all of the ambient sound thanks to the technology that Huawei is applying here. So that's up to 100 decibels. And when you see it and hear it in action, which I'll give you a demo of in this video, it's impressive stuff. Now they have a dual driver setup and they're using a very high bitrate for their codec. So this is the L2HC codec, but now at 2.6 megabits per second. The IPX54, I'll let you know about the battery runtime because that high-end codec streaming data at those kind of rates surely has an impact on the battery life. And I'll let you know in this video why I think these are some of the best sounding in-ear earbuds that I have tested this year. The FreeBuds Pro 4 come really nicely presented, good packaging, and I'll put them aside. Now they do include this, which is your typical silicon tips, the sizes that you get. You have to get, of course, the best seal. Now they come with a medium silicon tips already on them, but I highly recommend that you do try out these, which are the shape memory foam air tips. They're going to give you much better seal, but not only that, they improve the passive noise isolation. So I highly recommend you check them out, and you'll just find them neatly packaged up in here. And you can go along and select which size is going to fit you. Normally the mediums tend to work for me, which is good. And just under this, you will find there is some paperwork included. So we have here the quick start guide and our warranty card. And finally, the Type-C to Type-A cable for charging them. Now, the earbuds themselves take around 40 minutes to charge and the case around 1 hour. So how much do they weigh? They are very light, 6 grams, that's all they are, and very comfortable, the stem design. I'll talk about that just in a second. Total travel weight, 59 grams. And yes, this case will fit in that little jeans pocket, because that was where I was storing them when I was flying with them, the case. So the case looks great, and I love that it's all rounded off, so very easy to place in that little tiny pocket of jeans, or just in your pocket in general, and you're going to have no sharp edges that are going to be like cutting into anything like that. So they've got the gold accent here. This is a matte plastic finish to it that doesn't tend to pick up fingerprints, but this part here is glossy and you sometimes see a few bits on it. Now, this isn't the front of it. It kind of fooled me when I first got them because I thought with the logo, well, that would be the front and I wanted to flip them open, but oh, no, hang on, it's that way. And I can see why they've done this, Huawei, because the status LED is on the front here for gauging the battery life, and they would have connected up already to my phone. Now, they're held in place with magnets, poker port pin connectors on the end of them, of course, for the charging, and they sit in there really nice. And just to give it a bit of a shake, absolutely no rattles coming from it, which is good. It's a quality product. The build is definitely right up there, very good and excellent. So Type-C port there. Now it's wireless charging is 5 watts. And as I mentioned before, about an hour for the case and 40 minutes for the earbuds. This is the little tiny speaker here at the bottom that we get for little prompts when we're pairing them up. And hidden on the side is a button that I actually first missed this. It's quite disguised there where it is. You don't really see it. So that's for pairing. And yes, you can pair it up to 2 devices. Now the earbuds, a good design to them. So I did end up putting on the memory foam tips. I found these to be the absolute best for the passive noise isolation that we get. And then the active, which by the way is dynamic. So it's going to adjust, clearly labeled left or right. And you know when you pull them out that you've got the left side, the right side. So pretty straightforward. Everyone else is doing the same thing. So we've got our microphones built into them. And I'll talk about and show you how that really does work, that noise cancellation. The up to 100 decibels, pretty impressive. Huawei branding on the side, gold accent. Very good plastics, nothing's sharp around here. And we have the touch surface just on the side. So you use this, you press, you get a little nice little click noise to tell you when it starts and stops. And it's just through pressing it is how you control them. And you slide up and down for the volume. I find it works really well, and it's not hit and miss. Normally capacitive controls, I have issues with. Some of them just don't seem to work all the time, so you have to tap again. Not here, very good. No sharp edges around, and it's a glossy plastic, but this means cleaning them will be quite easy, so that is good. And the overall design is nice. Now getting the silicon tips or the memory foam tips on and off, very good. So there's a little harder plastic structure just in there that you can see. And that is what clips into the outside. You've got these two little points where it clips over. There is a little bit of a mesh there, like a filter, and you can push them then into place, and you hear both sides click in, and they are secured. So excellent build quality. And there either side, you can see the charging contacts. So I've noticed that when using these, especially if I push that high-end codec with the 2.3 megabits per second, which is very high, that data rate, they sound astounding. You get no compression with the highs that you would hear with ANC codec that you can use with these two as well. Now, the thing is that when you do use the high-end codecs, it has a big impact on the battery life. So I've seen this before. We know that with our DAC, it kind of halves the battery life or really drops it down. So with these, if you decide to go with the L2HC or LDAC codec, then you're only looking at 4.5 hours. That's the absolute top bit rate and using the noise cancellation enabled. Now, if you turn it off at 6.5 hours, okay, that's a bit better. And when I had these on a flight, they conked out on me around the 4-hour mark with the absolute top settings. So the battery life is, not amazing when you do that. And the noise cancellation on that flight was very good. I noticed that it blocked out that hum of the engines, and I did have it set to the highest setting, which I'll show you with the app. Now, if you want to prioritize not the sound quality, but you want to go for longevity with the battery life, then this is when you want to switch over. Make sure you don't use that codec. Just use AAC, and you're going to get 7 hours on a full charge. That is with the noise cancellation off, and with it on, then it's about the 5-hour mark. So I've noticed that that's probably the better way to go with them. And you get then 33 with the noise cancellation off out of the case. So an additional 33 hours. Well, 33 hours in total. And if you're not using the noise cancellation and the AAC codec, it is 23 in total you're going to get. So the battery life is, for me, the downside to these. And yes, they are a little bit expensive, currently selling for about 150 euros. I believe it was actually a little bit more than that. But let's get on to that sound quality. Now, listening to them, I got to say that these are probably the best that I have heard this year when it comes to in-ear active noise cancelling earbuds. The 11 millimeter dynamic drivers handle those low frequencies really well, so you get powerful bass tracks. Like this track I'm listening to from Chicane has a good combination between punchy bass and some nice crisp detailed highs. Now, because we have that planar diaphragm driver in there too as well, which is like a little tweeter, I'm getting very detailed crisp highs. Instruments come through really nice and clear. I've of course tested out on other genres, so rock music as well. You can definitely hear the instruments, the details, and they sound fantastic to me. The bass, when you push it really hard, the volume too as well, it won't distort, it doesn't clip, which is great. And the vocals, the singers come through excellent. I think it's just covering such a broad frequency range. And when you do use the high-end data rate codec, and that's that 2.3 megabits per second, you notice that especially with the highs, you remove that compression. So they sound absolutely fantastic, the FreeBud Pro 4s. The application that you need for these in order to get the firmware updates and some additional features is called AI Life. Now, you do not need to have a Huawei phone for this. You can use another Android phone, or I believe iOS is also working. So I have them added under my account here. You can go into this and you can see quite a bit of information. Now, you can connect because it does support various different devices at the same time. You have options here. So this is under my account, Connection Center. You can add two. So I can have my iPhone and this particular tablet at the moment that I do have connected, and you'll see battery life right here, codec status, and here we have some other options like device settings. So there was a firmware update that I do have, and you can of course update with that, and you're going to need this app in order to do that. And it was just a minor little tweak or bug fix, recommended to check that. Have noise control options, so you can turn on awareness, so that is an ambient mode that's going to bring in the sounds from around you. We have HD spatial audio, so you can turn that on if you want to have the head tracking or make it fixed. You've got spatial effects too, so there's a few of them in here if you of course go and turn that on. So cinema, to make it sound like you are in a cinema or a concert hall, and the head tracking also falls under those same different presets. But with my testing, I've had that off, but it is a nice little immersive thing to run too. If you want to feel like you really are in a concert, and when you move around, you hear the sound shifting, and it is really quite immersive. That's the whole point of it. So noise cancellation, turning that on. Plug in my headphones for that. Oh, okay. So I've got them sitting here and I'm not connected. But it goes through the different options and you can also dial that up. And because it got awareness detection, I need to put them in for that to actually happen, which I'll do now. Okay, now they're connected up. Now I can go along and just select the options. So I've got it selected. I can go to dynamic. So cozy. This is places that aren't that loud. Dynamic is going to listen to your background sound with the microphones and then adjust on the fly. And I used, when I was on the flight that I had, Ultra. And I found that Ultra worked the best for getting rid of that hum, that drone you get from the aircraft engines. And finally, we have a few other features in here. So you've got the options to test it for the fit, gesture controls, find them. That's also handy. And you have Huawei sound there. Now, I find that the default is very good. That's what I've been using. You've got balance, classical, bass boost, pretty straightforward. The equalizer here, and you have your own custom modes and whatnot. So sound quality, this is where you can go along and prioritize the sound quality. So that's using the high bit rate that I've been talking about that really hits the battery life, or drop it down. So you're going to balance the connection stability and range with our sound quality and have a much better battery life. So it's a good app. It's got a lot in there. Now this is the test that really does impress me. What I'm going to do is play a very loud track as if I'm in a live concert, and we'll first hear what it sounds like with my typical mic that I've got here, and then I'll swap over to the FreeBuds Pro 4. Now you can probably barely hear me at all because it's so loud. I'm swapping now over to our FreeBuds Pro 4, and magic, you can suddenly hear me. And no, this is not trickery. I still have that track playing in the background. As you can hear now, you can hardly make me out. And now back to those FreeBud Pro 4s. Very, very good. So if you're in really loud, noisy environments and you still want to be able to answer calls, well, you can, because it completely removes the background noise. I'm so impressed with this tech. So how comfortable are they to wear? Well, I wore them on a flight for 8 hours and absolutely fine. I was walking around Dubai with them and they didn't fall out. I find them to be really comfortable, especially with that stem design to them. Then the latency of our FreeBuds Pro 4, well, very good. Even though there is no low latency mode that I can find in the settings using AI Life, watching here, Terminator Dark Fate, it seems to be all in time perfectly. And if I really concentrate on the actor's mouths and the audio, I can sometimes detect that it may be lagging behind by a split second, but it's not enough to frustrate or annoy me. And this is with Amazon Prime Video, with Netflix or streaming content. It is good. With gaming, you will notice a tiny bit of a delay. So what it boils down to here is Huawei has some very premium in-ear earbuds. I think they're the best I've heard, and certainly that noise cancellation, without a doubt, that cannot be disputed, has to be the best around. The fact that I can play a super loud ambient train station ambient track there that you can't even hear when I'm talking, when I'm using these for a voice call. That's impressive stuff. You could be literally right next to, well, maybe not a jet engine, but nothing that exceeds 100 decibels, and it blocks it out completely. Sound-wise, the dual driver setup, impressive. Very good sound. And then we have, of course, that very high-end codec with that streaming rate of 2.3 megabits per second. Very good, removing all compression. This is lossless audio, sounds fantastic. And all up, very good. Touch controls work well. There has to be a con, right? There has to be a downside to all of this. Well, there are two. One is the obvious, the price. These are expensive. I think the announced price was 199 euros for them. Whoa, yes, but they are impressive. They're high quality. I've seen it down to about 170-ish now, 179 if you look around on the internet for them. The other is the battery life. If you intend to use the L2HC, I think it's version 4 now, codec of it, that 2.3 megabits per second, then the battery, around 4 hours on my flight, and I lost one of them and I had to put them back in the case. Then you get the additional hours, which isn't too much of a problem. Most people wouldn't be doing what I was doing. I was testing these to the max with my flight, and yeah, they didn't make the whole 8 hours, and I expected that. But otherwise, if you want premium top-end voice call noise cancellation and sound quality, these are the ones to go for. The Huawei FreeBuds Pro 4.